Hey everybody, what's going on? You won't believe this. This is interesting. So the Jonathan Majors arrest was a big deal this weekend, and there has been a major new development. This is big for Jonathan Majors, and I think it's really big for Jonathan Majors observers and fans. And I'm going to break it down for you. It turns out that there are media reports now that actually she wasn't the one who called 911. It was actually him. And I'm going to break some of this down for you from a black perspective. Get comfortable, buck up, seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to welcome everybody. As you come in, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm not going to keep you long because I'm still getting my voice back. I had a little bit of the Rona this weekend, and but I'm happy to announce that I am now COVID free, even though I'm not cough free. So you heard me coughing just now, which means I need to be careful because I am trying to relapse up in here. All right, so let's hop into this topic. Let's talk about it. Some of you may say this isn't newsworthy. This isn't interesting. I think it's very newsworthy. Let me tell you why. You know about Jonathan Majors, and you know what happened with him and his girlfriend. Give me a yes in the chat if you were following what happened with Jonathan Majors, if you even know who he is, and you know what the big conversation was this weekend. Well, Jonathan Majors, the biggest actor in Hollywood right now, at least the hot new guy or whatever, Academy. I'm sure he's going to be nominated for an Academy Award at some point. Well, this weekend, an incident happened where he was arrested, allegedly for duking it out with his girlfriend. And the charges were pretty serious. One of them was strangulation, which is one of those like what the fuck kinds of accusations, because strangulation. My wife, who works on a lot of domestic violence cases, who is a professor of social work, said that when a person is hitting you, that's one thing. But when they're trying to strangle you, that means they're trying to take the air out of your body. That means that they're trying to like kill you. So a lot of you were following this, right? Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the update. Here's the thing that was interesting. So I read a report. There were 2 things I found that were really there were interesting perspectives on this. One was, it turns out, and how many of y'all knew this, that she didn't call 911 on him. He called 911 on her. How many of y'all knew that? Did y'all know that actually he was the one that said, I need help. I need the police. This lady is hurting me. And you know that she recanted, right? We all know that she recanted her story, right? Later on, right? That's fine. But I thought that was really interesting. How many of y'all knew that? I didn't know that until just a few minutes ago. And that really changes the dynamic a lot, because up until that point, what I did know was that he'd been arrested. I knew what he was charged with. I knew it was serious. I figured she would probably recant, either because a lot of people recant stories in domestic violence cases. She might have been BSing all along, trying to get him in trouble, or she just got paid. She got some money and said, you know what, it's a whole lot of money out here. I'm not gonna let this get messed up. And so here's the deal. I don't know. I'm not fighting for him to be guilty or innocent. I don't know the brother one way or the other. I don't like to see a brother get falsely accused. I've spoken extensively for 15 years about black men being falsely accused, and I've actually gotten a lot of pushback from liberals because of that. I used to talk about that when the Me Too movement started. I said, you're falsely accusing a lot of people, and when a black man gets accused of something, it's not the same as when a white person gets accused of something. When a white woman makes an accusation against a black man, you're talking about something that has led to thousands of men being killed, thousands of men going to prison for things they did not do. There was a black man in Kentucky. I don't have his name in front of me, but he was falsely accused 30 years ago, spent 28 years in prison, got out of prison, won a massive financial settlement, but by the time he got the money, he was dead. By the time he got the money, he was dead. So they took his life, basically. So a false accusation is very serious, and it's extremely important. to talk about these things. Now, here's what people make. Another mistake people make that you should not make if you're an intelligent Black person. I'm only here to talk to intelligent people. I'm not here to talk to cheerleaders. So intelligent people understand too that sometimes that guy really did that shit. Sometimes a lot of y'all, how many of y'all know a brother who really might strangle your ass? I do. How many of y'all know a Black man who might have really pulled out the gun on her, at the party? I do. Right. So one of the things that you have to stop doing when you see something like this is jumping to one side or the other without knowing the facts. You do that and it makes us look stupid. We see a police shooting. Oh, a Black man got shot. Oh, it must be racism. It must be the racism. It's like, no, sit your ass down. Let's talk about what racism really looks like before you make yourself look crazy. And then your whole cause is undermined. Intelligent people understand this. Idiots don't. Idiots, the door is that way. You're welcome to leave the podcast. You're not really welcome here. You should not have come here anyway. This podcast is above your pay grade, period. So here's the deal. In this situation, I've always been on the side of truth. I've always been on the side of fairness. Fairness means that Jonathan Majors as a Black man would get the same treatment that he would get if he were a white woman. White women have a lot of privilege. Black men have their privileges taken away. White women get the benefit of the doubt. Black men get doubted from the very beginning. White women are innocent until proven innocent. Black men are guilty and then proven extra guilty. That's pretty much the way the justice system works. That's why in most statistics, you will find that white women are the least incarcerated on the planet, even when they commit the same crimes. They are. Look at all the statistics. And Black men are the most incarcerated, even when they commit the same crimes. In all my 13 years teaching on the faculty at Syracuse University, I saw white kids with drugs and committing crimes that they would have gotten 50 years in prison for had they been Black. So with this situation, it was interesting to me because it's high profile. There's a lot of money at stake. This makes it into a heavy financial conversation. If you don't understand the link between Black wealth and social justice, then you don't understand social justice. You don't understand wealth. You don't. And what do I mean by that? Well, one of the things you have to understand is when we talk about the racial wealth gap, and you talk about the gap in wealth between white and Black, is you must understand that the justice system has been used as a tool to extract wealth from the Black community. For example, I had a great-great-great-grandparent that this happened to. Let's say you're Black and you own a business and you have a bunch of land. And let's say they want your business and they want your land. And the white guy, his brother is the sheriff of the town. Well, guess what? All they got to do is plant drugs on you or file some false charges against you, get you locked up. And then when you get locked up, you can't actually come back and defend what you own. You can't pay taxes on your property if you're all up in jail. So the criminal justice system has been heavily used as a way to extract wealth from Black people. Another example of a high-profile case you know about with a guy named Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby has probably paid white women who, some of whom he probably did nothing to, or he partied with, who hung out with him for 30 years. He has probably paid white women about $300 or $400 million because Gloria Allred understands the game. Gloria Allred understands America. Gloria Allred is the lawyer that they all go to. Gloria Allred is like the white female Al Sharpton. So they all go to Gloria Allred, and Gloria basically she does it like this. She does a shakedown. She says, you have these accusers. We're not even going to get to court to find out if you did it or not. But what I'm saying to you is that if you want this to go away, you better write a check. Because as a Black man, we know that the world is not going to believe you. And you need to go ahead and write this check to make this go away, or we're going to use your Blackness against you. So there's a deep connection in terms of an economic conversation, in terms of what's going on with Majors, because he's got several multi-billion-dollar movies that have his name on them. And also he himself could make $1 billion as an actor. He's really doing that well. So anyway, let me move on. Let me talk about this a little bit. And why it matters whether or not he called 911 or she called 911. Well, if he called 911, then that makes me ask a deeper question, right? And she's already recanted. She's already come back and said, oh, I just made it all up. I'm a white woman, so I can just say things and have them not be true. And there's no consequences, right? There's no accountability for me because I'm white and I can just come back and do it again, right? So he comes back So he calls 911, and then she also says, well, I was lying the whole time. So my $1 million question is, what are the consequences for her? Well, I mean, where are the consequences? There was a story I saw where a lawyer was saying that he could sue her. He could sue her for defamation, and sue her for 10, 50, $100 million. And then he also said that he recommends that she not do it. And this made me think about a friend of mine. I knew a guy who, according to him, this is his version of the story. So just take that with a grain of salt. He said there was a lady I met. He was a famous guy. He went on TV a lot, and he was much more handsome than me, and he was a tall guy, and women, ladies loved him. I would see how the women looked at him, because how black, y'all like those dudes with them green eyes or whatever. He got them green eyes, and so he would go around the country with these green eyes, with all that money, and these girls would like cling on to him, and he would get with them, and he was a ladies' man. And there was one girl he slept with, and he liked her, and they slept together for a couple of days, and then he's like, okay, I gotta skip town. Now on to the next one, right? So she's texting him like, hey, why don't we get together tomorrow? You got time for lunch? And he's like, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I gotta work on this and work on that. And she's like, okay. So then the next day she texts him again and says, hey, you got time for lunch? And he's like, oh, sorry, I'm busy. I don't have stuff to do. I got stuff to do, blah, blah, blah. And then the third day she sends a text saying, you raped me. You raped me. This is blah, 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 blah. And he's like, what are you talking about? I did not rape you. I didn't do that to you. Why are you making this up? This is not true. So she then gets on an email and writes an email to every single person that, like, apparently he sent an email to a lot of people, and she emailed everybody on this list and publicly says, this man raped me. And according to him, he said this was totally untrue. He said, I was livid because these were business contacts. These were people that knew me. These were people that wouldn't talk to me anymore because they thought that I was a rapist, and there was nothing he could do about it. So it eventually goes away because she didn't have it. She had no proof at all. And what was interesting was he said, I was so furious. I went to a lawyer, and I went to the lawyer and said, I want to sue her because she ruined my reputation. Like, now people are wondering if I'm a rapist, and that's not fair. And you know what the lawyer told him? The lawyer said, yeah, but you probably won't win the case. You don't have much you can't do much. The court isn't going to really do anything. And I really think that that's kind of what I would almost call the black tax. In this situation, the black tax to me is one of those things that says that things that other people can do, you can't do. Things that others can do to you, you can't do to other people. Him calling 911 on her is not the same as her calling 911 on him. He calls 911 on her. It's almost like a joke. It's like, okay, let's get this lady out of here. She's a little out of pocket. She's a little Karen. She calls 911 on him. Next thing you know, his mother's going to his funeral, or he's in prison for the next 20 years. So, this obviously speaks to the point of black men being really thoughtful about these relationships. The Me Too movement is very good at talking about the power dynamic between a boss and an employee, right? If the employee sleeps with the boss, even if the employee was asking for it, even if the secretary is attracted to her boss, it's all in their mind, it's always the boss's fault because the boss is the boss, right? And there's the power dynamic, and that's why it's his fault. That's the whole argument that they make, right? Well, I say that when a black man chooses to date a white woman, that if they have an altercation or something goes wrong, then why don't we say it's her fault? Because we know in this society how the power dynamic is stacked. We know that in America, the white woman has more power than the black woman. We know that when the police are called, when 911 is called, historically, the white female has a level of power in the relationship that the black male will never have. So to some extent, number one, you're putting yourself in danger when you do that. You have to be really careful. I have people in my family that are dating interracially, and I'm not against that at all. I have nothing against interracial dating. If you got your white boyfriend and your white girlfriend, then God bless you. I hope that you love each other. That's great for you. But what I am saying is that there is a power dynamic that I think people forget. Like when you get into this mode where you're like, I'm not black, I'm OJ, then you end up finding out the hard way. You fuck around and you find out, and then bad things happen. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. If you go to my website, boycewatkins.com, I have a list of AI stocks you guys can take a look at if you want to. These are companies I'm investing in because AI is really big. AI is not going away. AI is going to be a job killer on an epic, like almost nuclear bomb scale. So one of the things you might want to do is invest in the companies that are going to benefit from AI, starting with Microsoft and Nvidia. But there's about 7 or 8 other companies I identified. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. The list is there. Also Thursday, I'm starting a stock options training camp. It's 2 weeks. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com if you'd like to join us. So a couple things I'll say on this is I'm curious to see how this turns out. If he called 911 first, it's just almost baffling to me. Like what I read was that the reason they arrested him was because he called 911 to get her off of him, and the police got there and saw that she had injuries, which led them to arrest him. So think about this: you called 911, you called the police for protection, and you end up going to jail. If that's the case, then that's a significant problem. And this is interesting too because it's coming back. It's also sort of contrasted with the fact that there were people in the Yale community though who were coming out heavy against Jonathan whatever what's Jonathan Majors, thank you. Coming out against Jonathan. There were people in the Yale community saying that they believe he'd been violent for a while. But one of the things that people forget sometimes is that in some relationships where you think that the man is violent, like I don't know how long these two have been together, right? But sometimes when you have a relationship where there is domestic violence, people make the assumption that it's the man just punching out the woman, when in some of these relationships, they're punching out each other. They're just fighting each other. I'll give you one example. Anybody see that Tina Turner movie? What's Love Got to Do with It? Anybody? Everybody. A lot of y'all saw that, right? Well, after you watched that movie, you walked away seeing Ike Turner as literally like a walking nightmare, like literally the guy who would just beat you up for looking at him funny, right? Well, I got a call from Jesse Jackson's daughter, and she knew Ike and she knew Tina, and she traveled with them before when she was a little girl, and she said it was not like that. She said they were both taking it and giving it out. They'd be running up and down the hallway in the middle of the night, punching each other out. She would give it to him, he would give it to her. She said it was not this one-sided, like, Tina's over there baking cookies and Ike just decides to punch her out because she put too many chocolate chips on the cookie and all this other stuff. Like, eat the cake, anime. So again, I don't know, but I do know that if you look up, I want to say that I'm not 100% sure, but I even believe even Tina Turner herself said that movie was not an accurate representation of Ike. So there is a consistent effort to paint the black man as the villain. And if you notice, pay attention now, Jonathan Majors is famous for doing what? For playing what? Is he playing the good guy in these movies he's been in? Did anybody see Creed 3? Was he the good guy in Creed 3? Or was he the villain? What do y'all think? Which one? Which one? Would anybody remember? What about Ant-Man? Ant-Man, when he played Kang. Was Kang a good guy? Was Kang like Superman, like a hero, like Iron Man or something? Or was Kang a villain? So it's real interesting to see. I wonder how this is going to play out for him, because the world now, he's seen by a lot of people as sort of the ultimate villain. Now, he's done other roles where he wasn't the villain, but his two biggest roles so far, the two movies he did that made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, he was the villain in those movies. So part of me sees a couple things. One, I wonder if his role as a villain in movies is going to cause him to be seen as a villain in life because he committed the sin of hurting a white woman. And then two, I'm really fascinated with Marvel's sort of new commitment to casting black men in these villain roles. Because first you had the Killmonger character, which was very believable as a villain, and actually relatable, because I thought Killmonger had a good point, to be honest with you. But and then you have Kang, which is basically Killmonger 2.0, all within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I remember noticing, not that I was trying to read race into the Ant-Man movies, but race is kind of everywhere, and you saw Michelle Pfeiffer in Ant-Man was kind of like the white woman who was fighting against the big scary black male villain. So it's almost like the black man is seen as like the scariest thing out there, and you got these little heroic 100-pound white women who are coming and taking down these big scary black men. So I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing too much, but I don't. But I believe it. I believe in what I see, and this is something that I think is supported by all the data in America in terms of how black men and white women sort of contrast each other and how we're treated in this country, right? So if you ever want to know why there's certain spaces I don't even want to operate in, certain spaces I don't want to do business in, certain spaces that I made a commitment to avoiding a long time ago, it's because of things like that. You know, I really don't want to live under someone else's oppressive regime or be in a situation where you're vulnerable just because of who you choose to date or whatever. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm not gonna say I have an issue with white women, but from the time I was a kid, I just kind of knew that if you play that way, you're taking a big chance. And but then again, maybe that makes me old fashioned. Maybe that makes me stupid. I have no idea. But that's just why I was determined to marry a black woman. So anyway, guys, I'm done talking. I have nothing else to say. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. And also, if you go to boycewatkins.com, you can join us for the stock options training camp coming up. And there's a few other things on my website, so feel free to go there if you'd like some help on investing or anything else you want to learn. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Take care, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.